I've got a question for you. Can the Biden administration force you to be sterilized or euthanized? You see, in all honesty, this should be the question on the tip of everyone's tongue right now. And I say that in light of what's going on with these Biden administration vaccine mandates. And here's what I'm talking about here. In our federal system, it is the sole job of the state governors to decide whether or not they want to impose certain mandates, or whether or not they want certain social distancing measures, or whether or not they want to do lockdowns in their state. It is not the job of the executive office. What is the job of the federal government is to make sure, right, that our tests are stockpiled, that we also have enough treatments and antibodies for, say, any kind of diseases, specifically in this case, that we have the medical treatments necessary for COVID-19. That's the job that lies with the federal government. The problem is the Biden administration is constantly interfering where they do not belong. They are attempting to supersede the power from the state governors while completely neglecting their responsibilities over getting out tests and treatments to the states. This is why the Biden administration is epically failing on COVID-19, and his poll numbers show it. More and more people every single day are basically not liking what the administration is doing. And I've personally never liked the Biden administration. He's always been about pushing radical leftist politics. And right now, that's exactly what his true colors are showing. The Biden administration's true problem is he's more interested in radical left policies and control and seizing up the opportunity of a pandemic, of a crisis, instead of truly being about the health of people. In all honesty, in my opinion, it has never been about our health. It's always been about seizing up the crisis for his own personal gain. Take a listen. He says it in his own words. Take a listen to what he said, and I believe he said this on the campaign trail.
And I truly think that if we do this right, we have an incredible opportunity to not just dig out of this crisis, but to fundamentally transform the country.
So Biden admits about the COVID-19 pandemic that this is a good opportunity to fundamentally transform the United States of America. And what exactly does he want to transform us into? Is he taking a cue from Rahm Emanuel, who said, never let a crisis go to waste? I'm going to play that clip for you. Take a listen.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
So a crisis, in Democrats' own words, gives you an opportunity to do things politically that you could never do before. I believe, and I know that I'm right, that the Biden administration has been all about transforming the United States of America instead of really caring about the health and genuine well-being of the American people. And it's ever so blatant, especially with his vaccine mandate, which in my opinion is all about getting the compliance of the American people. In fact, an NBC reporter actually admitted to that. I'm going to take you to that tweet there. Here she is, Stephanie Rahul. OSHA doing this vax mandate is an emergency workplace safety rule, and it is the ultimate workaround for the federal government to require vaccines. It is a workaround for the federal government, right? So Joe Biden here and his administration, and here's what I'm talking about. If it really was about the health of the people, they would be making more measures like, let's get the test out, let's find out the treatments that work, let's get the antibodies and everything that everybody needs to everyone. But instead, right now, we have a lack on tests and a lack on treatments, and there is COVID numbers are off the charts. They're off the roofs. That's where we're at, because he's only focused on two things: masks and vaccines, specifically vaccine mandates. That's it. That's all his arsenal. And those two arsenal things just so happen to be things that are about control and all about compliance with the populations, things that you would see in tyrannical countries like China or North Korea. And that's what's going on. Think about this for a second. In order to come up with a reason to supersede our Constitution and supersede our rule of law here in the United States, and to supersede the states because he's constantly interfering in the state's job, right? Our governor's job. In order to do that, he had to pull out of his keister an OSHA rule. And the OSHA rule, right, it's a tyrannical mandate. He says, okay, we're going to disguise, basically this is what he's doing. It's my interpretation. Biden has disguised a general mandate as a workplace safety measure. Again, I'm going to say that again. Biden has disguised a vaccine mandate as a workplace safety measure. You wouldn't have to do that if you weren't crossing any constitutional lines. And here's what I'm talking about. The OSHA is using what's called an ETS, and I'm referencing my notes here, an emergency temporary standard, claiming that businesses are in grave danger with this COVID-19 pandemic if people don't get vaccinated. They're in grave danger. The problem is OSHA is only supposed to do workplace-specific safety measures. That's all they should be about, just workplace. The problem with the COVID-19 pandemic is it's also outside of the workplace. So here we have OSHA trying to stop an outbreak outside of the workplace. Isn't it exactly legal what they're doing? And right now, in my opinion, and in many opinions, OSHA has no real legal authority to do this. It was Biden's way of superseding the states to get what he wants because he wants to fundamentally transform the United States of America in the middle of a crisis. And here's the problem with all of that. I really hope that the Supreme Court of the United States this week rules in the favor of the American people, because the Biden administration has no right to do what they do. They have no right to tell people what they can and can't put in their bodies. This is a constitutional right. And if our Supreme Court does not rule for the people and against the Biden administration, may I suggest to you, we've lost our judicial branch completely. Because if the Supreme Court of the United States of America allows this to go through, then here's what's going to happen, right? OSHA will then be allowed to exercise all kinds of health authority over businesses. And mark my words, the businesses, the mandate for the vaccine, by the way, is likely not going to sit with over 100 employees. It would go to everyone. I would not be shocked if that happens. But OSHA, who's never ever mandated vaccines before, will suddenly become some kind of health police, Gestapo, if you will, for the Democratic Party and the Biden administration. They will have health powers unlike we have ever seen before. So, case in point, if that happens, Supreme Courts allow it, OSHA gets their health powers, and Biden administration is inflamed. Now, in order to fundamentally transform the United States of America, Biden's going to say, hey, I declare a crisis, a climate crisis. It's a national emergency. So now we need to put new measures in the workplace, or the Biden administration, or God forbid, anyone who comes after Joe Biden or any other Democrat tyrant here in the United States, they're going to seize up that power to say, oh no, there's an overpopulation problem in the United States of America, and we need to implement some grave danger rules using the ETS standards of OSHA, or forget ETS, we now are emboldened to use it everywhere, and we're going to force sterilization of everyone who's had, I don't know, one kid or maybe two kids. You have to be sterilized after that because there is a grave danger to the entire planet due to overpopulation. Now, obviously, this has not happened. I am thinking that this is a potential for the future that could happen. If the Supreme Court of the United States of America allows this vaccine mandate, what will they not allow? What will they not allow? After all, let's go to John P. Holdren, right? Because I think he says some information here on, and this is CNS News that I grabbed it from, but I want to grab his quote here from that article. And he says, Holdren joined with Anne and Paul Ulrich, author of The Population Bomb, in writing Human Ecology Problems and Solution. This 1973 book outlined the population problem as Holder and Ulrich saw, and suggested that there must be some solutions to the population issue. And here's what I'm quoting. Considering present technologies and patterns in human behavior, our planet is grossly overpopulated. This means that the government has to act. How should they act? Well, according to John P. Holdren there, political pressure must be applied immediately to induce the U.S. government to assume its responsibility to halt the growth of the American population. Once growth is halted, the government should undertake to influence the birth rate so that the population is reduced to an optimum size and maintained here. So here we have a suggestion, right? Saying, oh, there's an overpopulation crisis. So what if the Biden administration, who is a radical leftist, decides that we're overpopulated here in the United States of America, so let's put in a new rule. OSHA could do it because it's grave danger, an emergency temporary standard, or fill in the blank, some new agency or another person that he creates. And let's just mandate that people can't have more than 1 or 2 children and they have to be sterilized after that. Or God forbid, they take over things like, our entire healthcare system, right? Let's say the Biden administration or a new government says, we need to give universal healthcare to everyone provided by the government, and the government takes control of our healthcare. What if then the government decides that if you're over a certain age and you get sick of something, say that's 70, 80 or whatever, well, if you get sick, then you just need to be euthanized. Of course, if you're not one of the elitists, only if you're one of the little small people like us, then you could be euthanized so we can use that healthcare, to give it to the 100 teachers. Take a listen to what Bill Gates says.
Is spending $1 million on that last 3 months of life for that patient, would it be better not to lay off those 10 teachers and to make that trade-off in medical costs? But that's called the death panel, and you're not supposed to have that discussion.
So instead of it going to 100 teachers, and that's rarely the case what he's talking about here, then we just need to create a death panel for that person, aka euthanasia, right? What if somebody in charge decides you don't need that healthcare because us government's gods who own your healthcare decided that you don't need it and we'll just save it for younger people? If we allow things like the vaccine mandate to come in, what is to stop sterilization, euthanasia, or even vaccine mandates of the flu and everything else under the sun? Show your papers, please. Will become a nightmare of biblical proportions. We know in the latter days it talks about the mark of the beast coming, and I'm sure we're headed a million miles an hour in that direction. But hey, if you want more information on what's really going on, you got to get to restrictiverepublic.com. Right now, support us. That's how you can support us. I do live stream events with Justice Night, and right now you can get it for $5 per month for the first year. Use the coupon code 2020. And don't think things, if you don't think things like sterilization can happen here in the United States of America, it's already happening in China, which we tend to copy. Here we have Fox News. Women are tied like pigs. Their forced abortion, part of China's one-child policy, document shows. And here we have The Guardian. Chinese government is trying to rebrand their forced sterilization as feminism. They're sterilizing people in China, and they're using overpopulation and climate change as their reasoning. Anyhow, I'd love to get your thoughts, comments, and concerns. Please don't forget to check out my partner at noblegoldinvestments.com. If you've not converted your 401k or really gotten a Roth IRA or anything like that, get that today, because right now they are giving away this American Eagle 1/10 ounce gold coin here. You could see it here with any approved IRA. Give them a call. Let them know you heard it on Lisa Haven, and check out what they have to offer. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.